to Changing the Sales Game on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman, and I know you know that I'm glad that you're here. So as you listen to the show, right, no matter where you are on changing your sales game, career, whatever it might be from a leadership perspective, in my 42 years being in sales, I have realized at the core of everything we do to try to grow and scale, communication is a key component of that. So in the show notes, you're going to find my communication style assessment, my gift to you. You'll get 2 reports after taking the assessment. First report, it kind of just spotlights your natural communication superpowers. It's how your message lands with 0 effort. Flip side, your lowest score, that to me is the more important report because it really does spotlight a blind spot or a potential blind spot. When you're communicating with people 180 degrees different than you, how does your message land? And that's where we want to be in a little bit more control. So in the show notes, my link, my gift to you, please take the assessment, use the assessment, and of course, email me with any questions. Now, to set the tone for my guest and I today in our topic, I chose a quote by Marcus Chan, and he says, "The future of sales is to serve, not sell. Generative AI gives us guidance that's so personal and precise, we're always presenting the most relevant solution. No pushing required." Well, today I'm excited for my guests and I. We're really going to dig into this and discuss how AI-powered commercial intelligence can really transform sales by providing actionable insights that boost conversations and improve customer retention. Sign me up every day for that one. We will explore practical strategies for using AI to optimize the sales pipeline, personalize customer engagement, and make data-backed decisions that increase revenue and streamline sales operation. You're really going to get an insight into how AI can be a game changer for sustainable sales growth and a competitive edge in today's marketplace. So who is this amazing guest, you may ask? His name is David DeWolf. David is the founder of and CEO of Knownwell, specializing in AI-powered commercial intelligence solutions. Now, he has over 16 years of leadership experience at 3-Pillar Global. David grew the company to over 2,000 employees and made the Inc. 5000 list 10 times. I'm going to ask you that. It's going to be my first question. He now leads Knownwell, where he empowers businesses to harness AI for smarter decision-making, optimize sales strategies, sustain growth, and transform how organizations operate in today's competitive landscape. So please help me welcome David to the show. So David, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Connie. It's great to be here.
That you had written that in your bio. You personally were on 5,000 times? Did I read that or did I read that?
Not 5,000 times, 10 times. So the Inc. 500, Inc. 5000. So as 3-Pillar was the company that I last founded, and we grew that 16 years of consecutive growth. And 10 of those years we were on the Inc. 500. So
that's okay. So that made more sense. I was like, wait, 5,000. I knew I read that wrong. But
too many numbers in one sentence, right? Yeah.
Thank you for understanding that. But I didn't want to waste time. So then I figured we could address that right out of the gate. So thank you for that. Very impressive, my friend. That's pretty cool stuff.
Well, and a lot of fun along the way. The entrepreneurial journey is a fun one, and we had a great ride, but it's even more fun doing it a second time. So I'm enjoying this run. And I gotta say, I loved that quote you started with.
Isn't that a good one?
Oh my gosh, that resonates to me. And what I love about it, Connie, is the centricity of humanity. So the whole reason Knownwell is the second business that I started is because I really think that AI is the biggest technological breakthrough we've had in the history of the world. And it has the ability to either undermine our humanity or elevate our humanity.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. We are at a space where sales of all disciplines interacting with people, it's not about how does AI replace salespeople. No. It's how do we empower people to do what only a human being can do. And what only a human being can do is to know and be known.
That's true.
Really get to know the person and really what makes them tick and to be able to serve them. I love that word serve in the quote.
Yeah. And what's so funny is we all talk about building relationships. Well, AI can't build a relationship. It can support a relationship, it could
That's right.
help us dial in super quickly on what's happening in the marketplace, or, how I should phrase things, right? Whatever the common terminology is that people are hearing and listening for, right? The customer in this case, it can really help us dial in quickly. But I think people are using it. I don't want, and I heard this yesterday. I was in a networking event I was sharing with you before, and one of the people said, "Yeah, I don't." One of their clients said, "Yeah, I don't want to sell. I'm just using AI for that." And I was like, "Oh,
Good
and you're
luck with
gonna
that.
and it's a new business." And I thought, and you're gonna fail, and not because the person isn't passionate and has the skill or any of that. AI can't replace building relationships with other humans. It's not a possibility, at least not
That's
now.
right.
But again, do you want to deal with robots? I want to deal with
Yeah,
other humans that are supported and using tangible new resources to keep us relevant and growing in the marketplace. That's what we have
that's
to
right.
be doing as salespeople
That's
and
right.
sales leaders, right?
That's right. And it is what, as you look through past innovations, has always happened, right? There's always this fear when new technology comes out. But what always happens is that the winners are the people that don't use the innovation to replace people, but use it to empower people. So I
Absolutely.
think that is the key mindset that we want to approach this conversation with, and really think about all of our AI adoption is, how do we leverage this tool to really empower us to be more human, not less human?
And hopefully expedite things, like move the sales process forward more quickly, because
Yeah.
we can do some recon, right? The AI is a tool for us to do some see, to me, sales is 90% preparation.
Yeah,
If we're
totally.
locked in, right? If we're locked and loaded and using these resources, by the time we get in front of the customer, we're so dialed into them that they feel seen and heard, that it
Uh,
just speeds up the whole process, right? That's what we're looking to do. Work smarter, not harder, and serve bigger and better, right? And more
that's
dynamic
right.
and all those things. And I think this is what AI is going to
Yeah.
allow us. So I'm
Well,
excited. Go ahead.
take that data point you just said, right? 90% of it is research. Well, in an AI world where we have agents that can go out and probably do research better than we can, what does that
Yeah.
allow you to do? It allows you to reduce that 90% so that you can be out leveraging that information to show people that they are seen and heard.
Yeah.
When you convey that, then they feel known, right? As they feel known, now they feel trusted,
Yes.
and you can build a much stronger relationship. And that, as we
Faster.
all know,
Yeah.
leads to, right, it's AI, two frames: efficiency and effectiveness, right? Both of
Yeah.
those drive better, stronger, and faster sales.
Yeah, so you can't hide. We got to dive in and really embrace this stuff. So clearly you're an expert, right? You understand the power of AI firsthand. You've built it, you've seen it, you've worked with it. How do you think AI is poised to transform the sales landscape, especially because I think now AI is the big topic, right? But in the
Yeah,
next few
totally.
years, where do you really see it going?
Yeah. So there's two things that I think one of them is short term and the other one is long term. So right
Mhm.
now, what you're hearing about is the efficiency part of what we just talked about, right? So there's all sorts of tools that are out there for writing emails faster and maybe even better, right? It's the execution of work. How do we leverage this tool, right? Whatever shape or form it looks like, in order to do the work of actual sales faster. Okay. The second one is where I think the biggest transformation is going to actually come from. And this one's a little bit longer term. And that is the orchestration of work, not the performance of work. So the
Mm.
orchestration of work is actually really this understanding piece that we're talking about, right?
Mm.
Historically, software has worked off of transactional data. The more transactions we have, the more, business intelligence we can put on top of it, and we have pretty graphs and we can understand this data, right? Well,
Right.
what AI allows us to do is to understand not just data, but natural information flows, communication. How do we also interpret the email, the transcripts, right? All of us are jumping on these video conferences all the time, and there's always, a new recorder there that's not only recording it, but transcribing it and giving us summaries. There's so much information overload that what we have to do is get to a point where the AI is digesting that and actually surfacing not more data. We don't need more data. What we need is the intelligence of, okay, now let's step back. what is the relationship I have with this customer? Where is it weak? What do I need to do to grease the skids? How do I build a deeper relationship? Those types of things can begin to coach me, orchestrate the sales process, help me to hone in on what my friction points are, who the influencer I haven't connected with is yet, and not just help me have that interaction better. Yes, maybe I can write that email introduction faster, but more importantly, know that I have to do it in the first place. And I think it's that orchestration of work, of understanding the environment and boiling it down, not to more data points, not to more information, but to actual intelligence that is coaching me and helping me know what to do at the right moment. That is where we're going in 2 to 3 years.
I love it. I love that word, orchestrate. Oh, so good. I'm going to use it. I'm stealing it and going to use
it. You can have it. You can have it.
Well, it's visual. It's a visual, right? We can orchestrate.
Right.
If you picture this orchestra working together in sync, right? That's what AI could do. Now, I want to make sure I understood. I'm going to really dial this into almost one sentence. So what you're talking about is using the data points, the AI information, because there's so much information, to help us tell a story that we as humans can understand, to know what that next step is or how to use it. Did I understand that correctly?
That's right. It's boiling it all down so that we're not in information overload anymore, but we are in action. What is my next best action?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, next question. So at your company, Knownwell, you focus on AI-powered commercial intelligence. Can you explain what that means for the businesses that are really looking to optimize their sales process, right? Because we want to streamline, optimize it, and move forward.
Yeah. So commercial intelligence is all about the economics and profit of the business. How do we have intelligence around the core of the business and how to grow it and scale it over time? Okay. And we have boiled that down to there's 5 different aspects of commercial intelligence. The first one is market intelligence. Understanding what is going on in the market, right? What are the competitive forces? What are prospects doing? That type of thing, the competitive nature of the market and what's going on, pricing and all that type of thing. The second one is revenue intelligence. This is the one that your listeners are probably most familiar with, right? Revenue intelligence is the one that has kind of taken the lead. And this is, if you know Sixth Sense, Sixth Sense is doing a great job of this platform that really helps you hone in on who are the buyers in market now that I should be prospecting because they're in a buying cycle, right? And so this revenue intelligence, go back to what we were just saying about orchestration. It's helping you not connect with specific buyers, more efficiently. It's actually directing you to the right buyer to be actually targeting the person that's buying versus targeting the person that bought 3 months ago and you don't know it, right? So that's revenue intelligence. So marketing intelligence first, revenue intelligence second, customer intelligence third. This is a shocking thing to me, Connie. Revenue intelligence has taken the lead, but if we all step back and ask ourselves, we all know that today's new business sale becomes tomorrow's revenue, right?
Yeah.
And that growth expansion, right? So all sorts of stats around the cost of, the next incremental customer versus selling to your existing customers, all this type of things. But how well do we actually know our customers? Yet we have all this information. We have all this flow of information, communication with them, transcripts with them. Are we using it? Are we doing anything with it? So really understanding the customer and the nature of your relationship with them. What is the sentiment? How are they receiving value from the offering that they have purchased from you, right? What is that landscape? So customer intelligence is third. Fourth is engagement intelligence. So they're actually leveraging the solution that you sold to them. What is their experience with that? Are you delivering on the value proposition? And really understanding the nature of the actual value exchange that happens, not just the relationship. And then the final piece is a bit more operational. It's about the value chain. How do you actually deliver that solution? What are the bottlenecks in there that may be getting in the way? So that's the entire commercial intelligence. And I think what's really, really relevant for sellers is the market intelligence, the revenue intelligence, this customer intelligence, and probably a bit of the engagement intelligence as well. I want to know, how is my customer really receiving the value that I've sold them, so that I know, what to solve and prepare for that next step sell and all those types of things. When you bring these contexts together, what you can do is you start to break down the silos of an organization, and you're
Mm,
understanding the market, and you can begin to have a picture where the AI can connect dots between all of these different things and
mm.
provide powerful next best actions that allow you to drive forward and make better decisions about where should you be prospecting, how should you be positioning, all of those types of things, and doing it on a very personalized basis for very specific customers.
I love this. And it's funny, very interesting. The five pillar, I'm going to call them pillars. I don't, am I
Love
using
it.
that? Yeah, five,
Perfect.
the five pillars, right? I love that. The last one, it was funny. You started to answer my question. As I know, and I go into, I work with banks and credit unions across the country, right? That's kind of my industry. That's just my zone of genius. But when I go in, I see it all the time. It's that us and them mentality.
Yeah.
And I know banks, right? They have silos all over the place. So I just want to share a really quick success story. Shout out to my good friend Josephine Moran up in New Hampshire. She's a CEO of a bank up there. And when she first became the CEO, right, brought me in, met with the executive team, the whole thing, came up with, what do we want this culture to look like? Not my culture, it's their culture, right? But what do we want it
Right.
to look like? Every one of the employees had to go through certain pieces of the training. Obviously, the salespeople on the front went through more of my sales process, but the other ones, how do we break down the silos? What is customer service? Who is your customer? How do you serve? How are you impactful in the value proposition that the person is selling? But now, how do you support that? And it's not, well, I'm busy, I'm going to let it go to voicemail. They're in front of a customer. What is that culture? You need to pick it up. You need to respond in 5 minutes. You had to build all of that out. And I have to tell you, we've been doing this for 2 years. The numbers of revenue expansion of departments talking to each other, sharing customers, sharing analytics, all the data points, and then the back office supporting all of it. It is an orchestra. That's why I love
Yeah.
that word, because they are all working together, but it was intentional in how they built it. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about, just that how
Yep.
we can use AI to expand that,
Yep.
first of all, more cost effectively. But the second piece of it is we can fire this fast and get it out
Yeah.
there and have all the teams firing on all cylinders.
Totally. If you look at how we have managed orchestration historically in business, what you find, and rightly so, because we're human beings, we can only process so much information, but we have created hierarchy, which has led to departments, right, which have become silos, because we can only handle so much information to make rational judgments about the information that we're having. And so
Yeah.
we then piece and stitch these together. I really believe that one of the impacts that we're going to see come from AI is the breaking down of these silos. And
Yeah.
you may even see it to the extent of breaking down some of the organizational structure. And you're going to see new organizational structures come up that are just kind of demolishing them. Because I think, especially in the example that you used, right? Existing customer sales, right? Actually taking care of your customers, right? Too many organizations they have sales, they have delivery, they have customer success, they have customer service, and they're all different departments, and the left hand has no idea what the right hand is doing. And
Right.
it's a horrible experience for the customer.
Yeah.
AI has the ability to process infinitely more data than I do as a human being, no matter
Oh, yeah.
right? No matter how good I am at consuming things and connecting dots and finding signal and noise, AI can do it better than I can. So
Yeah.
it's going to allow us to change some of these fundamentals that we struggle with, and really rid ourselves of these silos.
Can you give a tangible example? Because that 3 pillar, right? My statistics about you hitting 5,000, right? But I want to go back to that, because you said they
Yep,
had significant growth. I believe it was 16 years in a row. I believe
that's
that's what.
right. Yep,
Okay.
that's right.
How did AI play a role in driving that success, and especially, right, sales and customer engagement? That's my people who are listening, right? How
Yeah.
did that? Can you give us examples?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so this is going to be a little bit ironic and funny to you, but the brutal reality is AI wasn't at the point where it could really help with that in a lot of ways. So we
Yeah.
did leverage, 6 Sense. We were an early adopter of 6 Sense, and so getting smarter about how we were targeting and leveraging that in our toolkit in our prospecting definitely took us to the next level. But in terms of the potential and what we see now and how using AI to actually run and orchestrate our business, I got to be honest with you, we weren't there. And I think it's because AI had not been democratized yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This technology has been around forever, right? We absolutely were playing with machine learning and we've had AI and different things, but it wasn't in the hands of the masses
Yeah.
until Chat GPT really changed the game. And that
Yeah.
was just a year and a half ago. And I've been gone longer than that. And so we really, we're not leading the pack there necessarily. And I think that's why I have jumped into Knownwell and I'm building what I'm building now is because I saw the very real pain points that
Yeah.
I had in the business that I can now solve. And I can solve it because this technology has been democratized.
That, see, that's the thing. In those 16 years, you were boots on the ground, figuring it out, the
Yeah.
strategy, right? The intellectual strategy that you saw unfolding and how, okay, we did this well, let's pick this from here, right? And you orchestrated again. I love that
Yep.
word, but you pulled the orchestra together without the AI. Now you use AI foundationally under it, and ma'am, you're blasting the results
Yeah.
exponentially because things that you knew intuitively or intellectually, reading
Yeah.
data and stuff like that, right? You connected the dots, but now it's boom, boom, boom. It's so much faster. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. I have to tell you,
It
I've been in
is.
business 25 years and I sit, my husband laughs because I'm like, I'm really excited. Like, I'm really excited. I have this new charge
Me too.
because I learned to use OpenAI, ChatGPT, Grammarly, all these other
Yeah.
tools that are just at our fingertips, working
Totally.
behind the scenes. And I write something and then I read their edits and I go, oh yeah, that's really what I wanted to say. It's clear, it's concise, right? Because
Totally.
we're flying, right? We're flying, doing what we're doing, but they're behind the scenes just kind of compacting it and organizing it. So the person reading my email or reading my blog or whatever it is, they're dialing in a lot faster to the
Yeah.
information, the core information I want them to get from this. What, go ahead, comment, and then I have a
I got to
question.
say this because there's two very practical takeaways from what you just said that I want to call out because I think this is so powerful for people thinking, what do I do next? How do I actually get on this bandwagon? The first one is I love your example of Grammarly. Grammarly is artificial intelligence, but it's not Chat GPT where I have to go interrupt my day, type something in to get a question back. It is embedded into your existing workflows. And the
Love it.
tools of the future are going to leverage AI, but in a way that is integrated into your everyday. And so don't feel like you're behind if you're not using some unique AI advertised tool. It's tools like Grammarly that are pragmatic, that
Yep.
actually are AI in a very useful way. And so that's what I would be looking for is things like that. So that's number one. The second thing is I loved the way you described how we've been orchestrating businesses forever, but what does AI do? It supercharges it. And what it
Yeah.
brought to my mind was I think this is going to be a big difference. For the last 20 plus years, we have been living in what I call a growth economy. It was growth at all costs, and it was driven by the internet because what the internet ultimately allowed was exponential growth of distribution. Right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could market and we could sell to anybody anywhere. And then the network effects of that allowed us to build more valuable products, et cetera, et cetera. So it was growth at all costs. AI is going to do the exact opposite. It's going to be a performance economy because of what you just said. We are going to be able to have the same exponential change in how we orchestrate and operate our businesses as we had in the growth side. And so, pragmatically, if I'm a sales leader, I'm looking for not only the Grammarlies that I can hand to my folks to be able to write better emails, I'm also thinking transformatively and thinking, how can I orchestrate my teams better? What are the emerging tools that are going to allow me, the products and the platforms that allow me to orchestrate in ways that I've never been able to have, like my own chief of staff, right? My own, we're talking about these co-pilots. Think of AI as your leadership co-pilot, right? The
Yeah.
products and platforms of tomorrow are going to sit by your side and help you orchestrate your team better.
It's exciting. And it's funny, as you were speaking, I remember years ago, one of my banks, I did field coaching. I go out and I would watch the manager coach the employee and then give them things to do, right? But it was
Cool.
the expert teaching one-on-one. So we really getting into the weeds. And this one employee manager, she said, "Oh, I have a great employee. I don't coach her." And my heart broke because I thought, I don't care if they're a high performer, everybody deserves an opportunity to be coached. So when we sat with the employee, she gave her all these accolades, you're great, blah, blah, blah. And I turned and I said, I'm going to do a real quick coaching session with you. So here's where my mind just went. I said, you're a high performer. We know you could do the job. You do the job exponentially. Everybody loves you. Great. Okay. Keep doing that. What do you want to learn the individual? English was the second language. And she said, I really would like to write my own emails and not have someone have to double check them. So how can I perfect my writing skills?
It's awesome.
That's Grammarly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So we have this
totally.
global economy now. So somewhat, when I write it, if I'm trying to speak to someone somewhere in Europe or Asia or wherever it might be, I can take Grammarly and make it dial into that cultural component as well,
Right.
personalization, without me knowing that culture intimately because I don't live there, right? So these are
Yep.
the things that I think are going to support us going forward in this global economy and how we're going to rise to the top or rise to the top of the food chain with
Yep.
our offer, because it's performance based. I like that word too. Go ahead.
And I
And
love that you started with pain there, right? You identified a very real coaching opportunity. You didn't start with AI. How can AI solve it? You went and looked at the real pain in the organization.
yeah.
That's what sales leaders need to be doing.
Yeah, agree, right? How do we use it? Don't just say use Grammarly. What does that mean, right? Let's
Yeah.
show them how to use
Why are we
Grammarly.
using Grammarly, right? It's not just, oh, everybody go use ChatGPT. It's why. What
Yeah.
problem are we trying to solve?
Yes. And for Connie Whitman's world, I am a horrible speller. I must have been out in grammar school. And my grammar is horrible. And they give you the report. They say, oh, you're friendly. You use words
Right.
that most don't use. I go, oh, good, good. And then what is my biggest area for development? Grammar and spelling. I'm like, well, yeah, I know that. Right? That's why I have you, Grammarly.
That's right. That's why I subscribed, right?
Exactly. Well, we have time for one more question. What do you see is the biggest challenges in sales today in making these data-driven decisions, where I think in the past we used our gut instincts more, right?
Mm,
How can we do this, dial in
yeah.
and use AI to make smarter choices they're going to get better results, or not just gut instincts?
Yeah, so I'm going to dial in here really specific on the AI part of this question, because I,
Okay.
I think one of the challenges that we have is AI is unlike any other technology we've used before as
Yeah.
lay technologists, in that it's not deterministic. What I mean by that is, historically, every time I put in 1 + 1, I would get 2. And I knew the rational deduction that went into that in
Mm.
order to know that 1 + 1 = 2. Artificial intelligence, these large language models that you hear about, generative AI, is probabilistic. It's not deterministic. And what that means is there's billions and billions and billions of inputs. They all come together. And if you ask an LLM the same question twice, you won't get the same answer, because it's weights and measures. And it is basically mimicking what we do as human beings and saying, I think this is the answer. Okay. That leads to a very big trust problem. There
Yeah.
are certain people that really struggle with that. And there's this paradigm shift that we have to get used to. And we have to figure out as a society and as a market and as an industry how we're going to deal with this reality now. And I think that that is the biggest challenge of AI adoption. And especially in a world of sales where salespeople like to control their deals, right? Right. And so those types of things. So you've got to be able to change your paradigm and put your own judgment on top. I think for
Yeah.
a while, continuing to work with what the industry calls the human in the loop, right? This is not pure automation. This is why you're not replacing human beings, but it's going to surface information to you, not just data and information, but actually maybe even a decision. But you need to put your own judgment on top of that and say, is this the right call? Does it make sense to me at a visceral level? Does it match my gut? And if not, be open to being wrong in your gut, right? Because it
Mm,
probably has more data points than you do to come up with that gut feeling that it's giving you, right? But also be ready to make a different decision. And I think that's a really important point of adoption, is organizations knowing how to navigate that complexity.
yeah, it's interesting. I remember when ChatGPT first came out a year and a half ago, we're having dinner. My kids were still home. And so I'm curious, they're young, right? So I said,
Yeah.
have you heard about this ChatGPT? Are you using it? And it was really kind of cute because they stopped, they looked at me and they go, how do you know about ChatGPT? And I said, well, I'm in networking and I'm hearing and
Yeah.
I downloaded it and I'm playing with it. I'm asking it questions. I'm seeing what it could do, right? I was exploring, I was curious. And they were so impressed. And my one son, my younger son, said to me, well, people are writing books and publishing books and making money off it. And I went, my gut immediately.
Yeah.
David jumped in and I said, how good could that book be if we don't have, yes, it's giving you data points, it's giving you factual information, whatever it is. I said, but I do believe that the human voice has to overlay. So now you've given me this
That's right.
information. I can't just say, okay, I'm going to publish that. There has to be some editing from self of what is the message? What are your core values? What do you
That's right.
want to come through, right? You still have to have the human component. And he goes, well, people are making money. And I go, and that's not going to be for long. And then look what happened. Amazon,
Yeah.
all these publishers, plagiarism, right? They were
That's
finding it
right.
in colleges. You can't just create something and put it out there as your own. You really do have to look at it, put your heart and soul, right?
Yep.
Your human component, your core values. That's the only word I could
Yeah.
think of, to overlay into, to make that article or whatever, that ChatGPT thing,
Yep.
relevant to the world, but also to yourself and the people following you, right? There's
Yeah.
an integrity there, I think, that we need to
Totally.
add, right? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. You have time for one more story?
I do. Please. I
This,
love stories.
oh my gosh, this is so funny because this literally happened just a few hours ago. I was on the phone with an executive and we were shooting the bull. He said, David, I had this funny thing with AI that just happened to me. So new year, new budgets released. He's hiring for some new positions, and one position in particular, he got 72 applications to. And he was reading through cover letters and resumes. And about halfway through, he said, I don't know why, but like for the first time in my life, I'm processing these and I can't figure out, why can't I remember these people and who I liked and who I didn't? They just all feel the same to me. And he couldn't figure it out. And he started looking at them and he realized that about 30% of the applications that he got all had the same structure: an opening paragraph, then a next paragraph that went into experience, and then a paragraph with 4 bullet points underneath it. None of the content was the same, but the format and the structure was the same in these 30%. And so he took his own resume, took his job description, fed it into ChatGPT and said,
Oh,
write a cover letter for me. And sure enough, his came out, again, different words, but with that same structure. He said, that's the reason why. So all of a sudden it differentiated. I think that's a great story for sellers to think about, right? Yes, we can use these tools to be more efficient, but boy, you better understand not just that the content has to be different, but the underlying structure needs to be authentic. It needs to be you. The humanity in you needs to come out. Don't just take a template and fill in the blanks. We're not playing Mad Libs here. We're creating connections with people.
and see, now him as the hiring agent, I bet he thought, well, those 30% garbage.
Totally.
They couldn't take the time. You want this job, you're passionate about, right? That's who I want to hire. Somebody who's passionate, engaged, wants this job eagerly, right?
Totally.
You couldn't even put the time in to write a cover letter that was the essence of you, but why, telling me why you want to work at this this, in this case, his organization. What a great story. So there's a message to everybody out there too. If you're competing with other salespeople, don't just use ChatGPT to create your proposal. Somebody said that to me recently. Oh, I just put it in, it creates a proposal. I have to tell you, I think I broke into hives. And I thought, what? And I was like, wait, you edited it though. that's pretty good. I'm thinking, it's pretty good. Will you get on an airplane that's 99% sure you're going to get you to your destination? I'm not getting on that plane, right? This is the pretty good isn't good enough, but it's just like anything else, David, through my career. The really quality people will rise to the top, get the promotion.
Totally.
Leaders, and the other people who are just doing the bare minimum, you're going to remain doing the bare minimum. So be careful what you wish for, understand what we're working with, and then still make it your own. At the end of the day, you are the secret sauce in your sales contribution or your connections with you're the secret sauce, not ChatGPT or these AIs. So buyer
100%.
beware, right? Use the AI to our advantage, but don't replace self using the AI. And I think that's really the core message. What a great story. See, strategically, he had the brain to say, why aren't I remembering any, like what's
That's
happening
right.
to my brain? Am I losing
Yeah,
it? And then you
that's right.
start to look at the strategy, the detail behind it. He's a smart guy, right? Runs an organization. He connected the dots. 30%, you're in the garbage. That is a great, great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Totally.
So everybody, David's in my life. So I'm sorry I own him now. You need more David in your life, clearly. So
Oh, too nice.
yes,
That's
listen,
fun.
this is great stuff, David. I
It's so
think
much fun.
but it's a necessary tool going forward. And I really feel like you have the great, again, that orchestra kind of vibe, but that idea of how can we have all the cylinders firing faster, more intensely by using AI as the gas, right? So we could put the gas on the pedal, we're going to go a heck of a lot farther and faster, but we have to have that human quotient on top of it. So I'm loving this. So please email, if you have a question specific for David, email him known, Known, knownwell at knownwell.com. Website knownwell.com. I'm going to put all of that in the show notes. Additionally, I know you have a demo out there and you're giving people 3 months free to kind of explore, and that's knownwell.com /demo. But I'm going to put those links. We're going to confirm those links, guys. So David and I will confirm. We'll get him in the show notes so that you could find him, use the demo, and then subscribe for the 3 months. Play with it. But here's the thing. Please don't download it and then not use it, because then after 3 months, you're going to, oh, yeah, I'm not paying for that. Use it, play with it, understand it, email David or his team with questions.
Totally.
So that you can make sure that we're at the beginning of 2025 as we're recording the show for my future listeners. So you might be thinking, hey, guys, 10 years from now, we're like, what are you talking about? We have spaceships that we're driving. But again, use the demo, use it, ask questions, so that when the free membership ends, that you have access, but you're firing on all cylinders. It becomes a no-brainer. Anything else you want to add to that, kiddo?
Yeah, I would say go back to the basics. 2 things. Number 1, don't forget the humanity. AI can't replace you, especially as a seller.
Yeah.
Only you can build connections, know and be known. And number 2, I think the paradigm of both efficiency and effectiveness can really help you navigate this. So it's been so much fun. Thank you for having me on. Really
Back at you,
appreciate
my
it.
friend. Yeah, I love the show. This was really, see, I'm excited about the AI and I'm curious about it. So when I get to talk to experts like you who humanize it, but also whittle it down, because I'm not an expert in AI, clearly, but I understand the essence of how we can use these tools. And that's really my hope is for everybody listening as well. So David, thank you so much for sharing your zone of genius with us today. I appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover, no matter where we are on changing your sales game. Listen, my guests and I, we have some pretty valuable information here. Here's the deal. And David, I end the show all the time saying this. Information is a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, it's just information in your brain. It's not really going to help. Start to execute. Email David, go on the website, download the demo, play with these things. That's your call to action, because at the end of the day, action creates reaction, and that's where the magic happens. So that's your order by Connie Whitman today. I love you all. I'm truly honored that you're on this journey of changing your sales game and that you trust my guests and I to help you navigate whatever change you're facing. I love you all. I want you to have an inspired week ahead, where you create change that really does magnify who you are and what you're doing in the world. You've been listening to Changing the Sales Game with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Have a great one, everybody.